Hey there, deep divers. Ready to explore some wild ideas?
Always up for a challenge.
Awesome.
Oh.
Well, today we're strapping in, not literally, of course, but we're going to take a deep dive into this whole Mars thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, humanity's obsession with the red planet.
Right.
What it could mean for society, back here on Earth. We've got research predictions.
Okay.
Even some comparisons to, fictional worlds.
Interesting.
Like Gotham City and
oh, wow.
Hunger Games.
Okay.
It's all connected.
I'm intrigued.
So the big question is, could reaching for Mars, trigger a great reset? Or will we just, end up exporting Earth's problems to a whole new planet?
It's fascinating to think about, Mars as this, blank slate. But then it also makes you wonder, what we might bring with us,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The good and the bad.
Exactly. And the sources we've been digging into,
Yeah.
they paint a pretty intense picture of where we might be headed.
Oh.
We're talking 5 big trends potentially pushing us toward a dystopian future.
Okay, lay it on me.
Okay, so first we've got this widening gap between the rich and the poor.
Right.
Then there's climate change, messing with resources. Governments are getting kind of shaky and controlling.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Tech is getting a little too smart for my liking.
For sure.
And then society is starting to fray at the edges.
Oh, yeah. Things feel a bit tense these days.
Yeah, exactly. And the concerning part is
What's that?
these trends, they aren't isolated.
Right.
They're all kind of intertwined, feeding off each other.
Yeah, I can see that.
And get this, some of the sources suggest that we could see a real convergence point by 2050.
Oh, wow.
Like a point where these trends collide and could potentially reshape society.
Like a tipping point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a little unnerving.
Right. It's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider the potential catalysts that they highlight.
Like what?
Economic crashes,
Okay.
climate disasters,
Yeah.
new surveillance tech.
It's all a bit too close for comfort.
Right. I know, right? It feels a little too real.
It's not about predicting doom and gloom, though.
Right.
It's more about recognizing the patterns.
Right.
These sources aren't just throwing out hypotheticals. They're looking at current trends and extrapolating, based on data and historical precedents.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit.
That's it.
Let's talk about something that always sparks debate.
Okay, I'm listening.
The move toward a cashless society and the rise of cryptocurrency.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Right. Will this tech liberate us or control us?
It's the question of our time.
I know it's a tough one.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you've got governments potentially issuing digital currencies. And some argue that this could give them even more control over our finances.
Oh, I see.
That's something straight out of the Hunger Games,
Oh, wow.
where the capital controls everything.
Makes you think.
It does, right?
Yeah.
That's a valid concern, especially with the potential for tracking every single transaction.
Yeah, imagine a world where every purchase you make is scrutinized,
Gosh.
where your access to funds could be restricted based on your behavior or political views.
Okay, that's a bit unsettling.
Right.
It is.
Sure.
But on the flip side, we've also got these decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
Right.
Could this be the key to a new kind of financial freedom?
Possibly.
Maybe even fueling resistance movements,
Interesting.
like we see in Gotham's underground.
That's a possibility for sure.
It is, right. It's an intriguing thought.
It is. Decentralized currencies could empower individuals.
Right.
Allow them to operate outside those traditional financial systems.
Exactly. But then again, we also need to consider the potential for misuse.
Oh, of course.
Could these same technologies facilitate illicit activities and further destabilize economies?
That's the double-edged sword.
It's a tough one to figure out.
Is
It feels like we're stepping into a world where the lines between control and liberation become increasingly blurred.
For sure. The lines are definitely getting blurry.
But what about those who can't keep up?
You mean?
In this digital world,
Oh, right.
what happens to people without access to technology
Yeah.
or the skills to navigate a digital economy?
That's a crucial question.
It is, right.
Yeah, a cashless society could exacerbate existing inequalities.
Oh, totally.
You could create a digital divide that mirrors the resource disparity in the Hunger Games.
Exactly.
We need to consider the ethical implications for those who might be left behind.
Absolutely. It's a huge issue to think about.
It is.
So we've got dystopian trends, cashless societies,
Yeah.
this whole crypto revolution.
Right.
But how does Mars fit into all of this?
Well, let's explore that next.
Okay, that's good.
Let's dive in.
Yeah.
And that brings us to Mars.
Yeah, Mars.
This beacon of hope.
Yeah.
This potential escape hatch from all of Earth's
A
problems.
fresh start.
But is it really a fresh start?
That's the question, isn't it?
Or are we just setting ourselves up to repeat history all over again?
Yeah, the sources we've been looking at, they definitely don't shy away from the potential pitfalls of Mars colonization.
Right.
They actually highlight some pretty dark scenarios.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like corporations exploiting Martian resources
Okay.
and creating a whole new kind of class divide.
It's almost like a cosmic sequel to the Hunger Games,
Oh, wow.
where this Martian elite controls all the resources.
And the people back on Earth are left to struggle.
Exactly. It really makes you think.
It does.
Are we doomed to just recreate the same power structures wherever we go?
But wouldn't there have to be some sort of system in place? Like, to decide who gets to go to Mars in the first place?
Ah, that's a huge question.
I mean, who gets to make those decisions?
Right.
And what criteria do they even use?
Yeah, like wealth skills connection.
Exactly.
Those are the ethical dilemmas we need to be grappling with right now.
I agree.
If we don't establish like a clear and equitable framework for Mars colonization,
Right.
we risk replicating the same inequalities that plague us here on Earth.
It's like we're on the verge of creating a whole new society.
Yeah,
And we need to decide what kind of foundation we're building it on.
absolutely. But it's not just about the physical infrastructure, is it?
Right.
What about the psychological impact of leaving Earth behind?
Oh, that's interesting.
Could we see like a new kind of human emerge on Mars?
Like a Martian human?
Yeah, one that's shaped by the challenges and isolation of this completely alien environment.
That's a fascinating question.
It is, and the sources actually touch on this.
I do.
Yeah, some experts believe that the Martian environment, with its lower gravity and harsh conditions,
Yeah.
could actually lead to physiological changes in humans over generations.
Wow.
But the psychological impact is harder to predict.
Right. Who knows what could happen?
Will Martian colonists feel a sense of superiority
Oh, interesting.
or detachment from Earth? Will they develop a new set of values and beliefs shaped by their unique experience?
It's almost like we're talking about a new branch of human evolution.
It is kind of like that.
A divergence in the species driven by this challenge of colonizing another planet.
Exactly. It's a fascinating concept.
It is. But if we're talking about building a new society on Mars,
Yeah.
are we aiming for a utopia?
That's the question, isn't it?
Or are we simply hoping for something better than what we have here?
I think the key takeaway from these sources
Okay.
is that we need to be cautious about romanticizing Mars as some kind of utopia.
Right.
It's not a blank slate.
Okay.
It's a harsh and unforgiving environment.
True.
And more importantly, we're bringing ourselves with all our flaws and baggage to this new world.
So instead of aiming for perfection,
Yeah.
maybe the goal should be to learn from our mistakes
Learn from our past.
and create a society that's more equitable and sustainable than what we have here.
That's a good goal.
But how do we actually do that?
It's a big challenge.
I mean, where do we even start?
Well, one of the most interesting ideas that emerges from these sources
Okay, tell me more.
is the concept of using Mars as a testing ground for new forms of governance and social organization.
Okay, so like what? Give me an example.
Imagine a Martian society where decisions are made through direct democracy,
Interesting.
where resources are shared equitably,
Okay.
and where basic needs are guaranteed for all citizens.
Wow, that's a pretty radical departure from the systems we have in place now.
It is. It's a bold vision.
It is. But wouldn't it be incredibly difficult to implement something like that?
Well, of course there would be challenges.
Especially on a smaller scale, like a Mars colony.
Right. But that's what makes this such an exciting opportunity.
How so?
We have a chance to experiment with new ideas,
Okay.
to try things that might seem too radical or unconventional here on Earth.
So it's not just about escaping to Mars.
No, it's not just about escaping.
It's about using the Martian challenge as an opportunity to reimagine what a society could be.
Exactly.
It's about pushing the boundaries of our thinking.
And exploring new possibilities for how we organize ourselves and live together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the idea of the Great Reset.
The Great Reset, it's not necessarily about some catastrophic event that forces us to change.
Yeah.
It's more about a conscious decision to use this moment in history, this push towards Mars, to reevaluate our values and create a more just and sustainable future.
It's like Mars is holding up a mirror,
A mirror reflecting our potential.
forcing us to confront our flaws.
And ask ourselves some tough questions about what we want our future to look like.
But how do we ensure that the Great Reset doesn't just become another version of the same old problems.
That's where the real work begins.
Right.
It's about having these conversations,
Yeah.
engaging with the ethical dilemmas,
Right.
and making sure that everyone has a voice in shaping this new future.
I like that.
And that includes you, dear listener.
Okay, so we've talked about dystopian trends and cashless societies and this whole crypto revolution, and Mars is this potential fresh start. But like, what's the timeline for all of this? When are these societal shifts supposed to happen? How quickly could things actually change?
Well, according to all these sources we've been exploring, the next few decades are critical.
Oh, wow. So we're not talking about some distant future.
Not at all. We're talking about changes that are already starting to unfold.
Like what?
Well, think about the speed of technological advancement. Artificial intelligence, automation, biotechnology, it's all moving so fast.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
It really is.
So it's not just about spaceships and Mars colonies.
Right. It's bigger than that.
We're talking about fundamental shifts in the way we live and work, even here on Earth.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you consider the potential of AI,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like we're on the verge of creating a new species.
It's true. AI has the potential to revolutionize every aspect of our lives, from healthcare to governance.
It's exciting and terrifying at the same time.
It is. It presents us with some profound ethical challenges, too.
Like what?
How do we ensure that AI is used for good?
Right.
How do we prevent it from becoming a tool of oppression or control?
Those are big questions.
They are, and it seems like we're just starting to grapple with them.
But what about the move towards a cashless society? How soon could we see that becoming reality?
The transition is already happening.
Really?
Yeah, it's gradual, but digital payments are becoming more and more common.
I mean, I use my phone for, like, everything.
Exactly. And some countries are already experimenting with central bank digital currencies.
Oh, wow. So it's not inconceivable that we could see a major shift towards a cashless world within the next decade or two?
It's definitely possible.
And what about this great reset we keep talking?
Yeah, the Great Reset.
Is that a sudden event or a more gradual process?
The sources seem to suggest it's more of an ongoing evolution.
Okay, so it's happening all around us.
It is. It's about recognizing that the old systems and ways of thinking are no longer serving us.
We need to adapt.
We do. It's about embracing new ideas, new technologies, new ways of organizing ourselves.
So it's not about predicting a specific date for the Great Reset,
Right.
but about recognizing that we're already in the midst of it.
Exactly. It's happening all around us in the way we communicate and consume information, the way we think about our place in the world.
It's a shift in consciousness.
It is. There's a growing awareness of the interconnectedness of all things.
People are becoming more concerned about climate change, social injustice, economic inequality.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's a sense that we need to find a better way forward.
A more just and sustainable world.
Exactly.
So where does Mars fit into all of this?
It's a good question.
Is it a distraction from the problems we face here on Earth? Or could it actually be a catalyst for positive change?
I think it has the potential to be both.
How so?
On one hand, the pursuit of Mars colonization could consume vast resources that could be used to address pressing problems here at home.
That's true. But on the other hand,
On the other hand, it could also inspire us to think differently, to push the boundaries of innovation and develop new technologies and solutions that could benefit all of humanity.
it's like Mars is this mirror reflecting back at us our potential for both greatness and folly.
I like that analogy. It really challenges us to ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want to create?
And are we willing to make the choices necessary to achieve it?
Exactly. Those are the questions we should all be grappling with, not just scientists and policymakers, but everyone.
So to our listener out there, we leave you with this final thought.
What's that?
The journey to Mars isn't just about reaching a new planet. It's about embarking on a journey of self-discovery as individuals and as a species.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to shape our own destiny.
And that the choices we make today will determine the course of our future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep dreaming big.